Michikatsu's hatred POV Kokushibo. These Hashira just didn't know when to quit. I have already dealt with my descendant and the false demon. Why can't they see that everything they do is all in vain? Looking on, I see the wind Hashira, about to die by my hands. Oh well, he lasted long enough to be considered slightly impressive, I thought, as just before my blade reached him, he was saved. Another Hashira? How amusing! I thought as I saw who had appeared. The Hashira who had appeared was of an impressive physique and has reached the limit of everything. It's been over 300 years since I last saw someone who reached the limit of everything. Let's see how this one compares to them. The fight resumes, and the stone Hashira broke my katana. It matters not, though. I'll just regenerate it. Ah, how disappointing, I thought as the stone Hashira awakened the mark. How desperate he must be. A small conversation emerges as I try to convince him to become a demon. He rejects me and then says that there was one person who survived the mark. Don't you dare say it, I thought in barely contained rage and slight fear. Then the stone Hashira did the worst possible thing he could have done. He said Yorichi. All of my indifferent and plant-like expressions simply vanished. I could vaguely tell that the Hashira were surprised at my sudden change, but I ignored it. That name. Yorichi. That cursed name. Even after over 400 years, his name still persists in history. How lucky you are, brother. I was filled with hate, and my face must have showed it as the Hashira seemed unsettled. You shouldn't have done that. I spoke as the stone Hashira seemed puzzled. Done what? He asked as I snarled. Said, that name, I said slowly as I fought for control. Now he is fighting for control. I whispered, but the Hashira still heard me. Who is fighting for control? Muzan? He asked as I shook my head. No, not Muzan. Someone worse, I said as the Hashira seemed confused and tense. Worse? Who could be worse? He asked as I snarled again, barely able to maintain control. My human self. I gritted out as the Hashira blinked. Your human self? How is that worse? He asks as I can be seen sweating now. My human self always was jealous of him. So much so that when he chose to become a demon, something happened that has never happened since. I explained as I grit my teeth together even more as I'm slowly losing control. What happened? The stone Hashira asked, as I, with the last of my strength, said. His demon self became his own entity. Thus I was born, the one who was in control. And now that you have said that name, you have awakened the slumbering monster over 400 years, and he is now awakening once more. I finished as I lost all control and was roughly shoved in the back of the mind. The last thing I saw was the worried and surprised expression of the Hashira. POV Michikatsu. I was awoken from my slumber when I heard that cursed name. Yorichi, I said with pure hatred. For the name of my brother is a curse. Never in the 400 years I've slept has it been spoken. But now I hear it again. That cursed name. I fight for control for my demon self. He has been doing a good job, but now it's time to let the monster out. The very first thing I see is a Hashira. The one who spoke that name. You, I said in the demon's voice. I blinked. This won't do at all. Wait, I told him as I closed all of my eyes and focused as my body slowly transformed. When I opened my eyes again, I could see the clear surprise on the Hashira's face. Much better, I say now, in my own voice. I look downwards and see that the flesh sword has taken on its original appearance. My old Nichiren, Kyokoku Kamusari. You're human again? The Hashira asks in puzzlement. I snarl. No. My demon self already explained this right? When I accepted becoming a demon, Kokushibo was born. An entirely new being in my body. I snarled again, as I glared at the Hashira with a look of pure hatred. Tsugikuni Michikatsu never became a demon. I couldn't become a demon. I enunciated the final parts of my statement. The Hashira's eyes widened in understanding. Your body can become a demon, but not your soul, he said as I nodded. Yes, while my body can become a demon, my soul, being Yorichi's twin, cannot. So a new soul was born, Kokushibo. I finished as the Hashira's eyes widened and he tensed. Yorichi's twin, he asked in shock as I snarled. Oh, yeah, like how predictable that there is no mention of the great and powerful Yorichi having a twin brother, an older twin brother, to be precise. I spat with vitriol as the Hashira grimaced. You became a demon, was all he said before being interrupted by a seething Michikatsu. Choice, right? That's what you were going to say? Wasn't it? Well, child, listen. Because while it was my choice, I didn't just wake up that day and thought that it would be a great idea to become a demon. I barely grit out through my hatred. I was an outcast. I was the weaker and lesser brother. I may not have been the strongest, but I was still the second strongest. Yet the other Hashira were afraid of me, afraid that I would grow even stronger than they would. They already had been left behind in strength completely by my brother. They didn't want to be forgotten. So they did everything in their power to make sure that I wouldn't grow much stronger than them. And that was through all of them sparring with Yorichi. While in my entire time in the Demon Slayer Corp, I only managed to spar with my own twin brother 3 times. The others sparred against him hundreds of times. Yet, I was still stronger than them. They, who had sparred against Yorichi hundreds of times and been personally taught during those times, were still weaker than me. I finished as the Hashira looked at me with an emotion I was all too used to seeing. Fear. Yes, that's right. I, who had only sparred against Yorichi 3 times, was still stronger than all of them. I, who had trained alone, with no extra guidance, was still stronger than them. I finished somberly. I looked at the Hashira and said only one sentence. Now, you have awoken the true monster. Let's see how you hold up against my hatred, POV. Guillaume, I quickly snapped out of my shock when when Michikatsu said that last sentence. What does he mean by that? I thought in puzzlement. I wished I had never found out. A pressure so great slammed down on me that nearly forced me to my knees. I felt the feeling of the pressure and identified it as hatred, pure hatred. I focused on feeling where Sanemi was and could tell that he had been forced to his knees, whereas Genya had fallen unconscious. The strange thing was that I could sense that Moichiro was not only still conscious, but also seemed completely unaffected. Why is only Moichiro unaffected? I thought in confusion before I heard from behind me. So slow, Michikatsu said as I heard the sound of a katana being clicked back into its sheath. Then I felt it, a deep gash going from my bottom right hip to my left shoulder. How? I couldn't see him at all? I couldn't even react? I thought in fear as I heard Michikatsu breathe in before breathing out. POV, Michikatsu. You demon slayers were all so worried about Muzan that you forgot about me. There is a specific reason why I am Upper Moon 1 and not Akaza. I explain as I turn my head to look back at the fear-filled Hashira. I hate the entire Demon Slayer Corps even more than Muzan himself, I say as I blitz to the other hidden Hashira. He couldn't even react as another gash opened up on his torso. I am stronger than all of the Upper Moons, including Kokushibo, combined, I tell them as the wind. Hashira falls to the ground, bleeding out. I am stronger than even Kibutsuji Muzan himself. I enunciate each and every single word as I blitz the false demon. As in my right hand, I hold his severed torso in my grip. I surpassed Yorichi himself. As I blitz over to my descendant as he looks down at me in defiance and rage. I am the strongest to ever exist. I finish as I look into my descendants' defiant, rage-filled eyes. I am your ancestor, I say in a much softer tone as I caress his left cheek. I am proud of you, I whisper as he looks at me in surprise, as I smile up at him. I do not hate you, I whisper as his eyes widen as tears fall down my face. I love you and will always love you. I finish as tears flow freely down my face as I take out his katana that impales him through his right shoulder. I drop the katana as he falls and I catch him and embrace him. He struggles, but I still hold him as I whisper. My only regret is that I left behind my family, my true family, my wife, my children, my brother. Every single one of my descendants, including you, Muichiro. I left them all. That is my only regret. I whisper as his struggling briefly pauses, as I could feel the tears hit my kimono. I whisper soothingly to him, assuring him that he's okay, that everything is all right. He sniffles and looks up at me. But you'll kill them. You have to kill them, he says as I sigh. Technically, I don't have to, I say as my descendant blinks up at me. I could feel the confusion and shock of the other slayers, but ignored them. Muzan said that I have to make sure you don't reach him. He never said I had to kill you all to do so, or even said the word kill. I explain as my descendant lolls up at me in shock and slight hope. Then that means, he trailed off as I nodded. Yes, I don't have to actually kill any of you. Even more is the fact that Kokushibo was the one who was given those orders, not me. So I actually don't have to follow them at all. I finished as my descendant looked like he was just told he had an infinite supply of candy. I felt my mind pause for a moment. Couldn't I just go and kill Muzan? I mean, the whole reason Kokushibo kept me slumbering was the fact that while I hated the Demon Slayer Corps even more than Muzan, I hated Muzan just as much, if not more, than the Demon Slayer Corps. So why not go and kill him now that I'm free? It sounds good to me. I nodded my head as my descendant looked at me in confusion. I just realized that now that I'm awake and free, that I can go and kill Muzan. I felt all eyes, even the unconscious ones, widen and jaws drop at my statement. But you're his most loyal subordinate. My descendant shouts at me in befuddlement. I snorted, That's Kokushibo. I'm not Kokushibo. I'm Michikatsu, and I hate Muzan just as much. Perhaps even more so than the Demon Slayer Corps. I explain as my descendant's eyes widen as I gently let go of him. Now, I start, all of you are going to stay here while I go and kill Muzan, while you stone Hashira are to give medical support to Muichiro and the Wind Hashira. If you need help, just wake up the false demon and stick his torso and legs back together. He'll regenerate and then can help you with your wound as well. I finish explaining as I pat a very flustered Muichiro on the head, smile at him, and disappear. I reappear where Muzan is and slash apart the cocoon he is in. The sight that greets me is a trembling Muzan and a confused Tamayo. Flashback, a few minutes ago, POV Muzan. Oh no. I thought in terror, as the link I had with Kokushibo went faint. That could only mean one thing. Michikatsu is in control right now. I look around my cocoon in fear and tremble as Tamayo notices and comments. Oh, realizing the effects of the... She starts to say, but I cut her off. He is awake, I tell her, shaking. She looks at me puzzled. What? She asks, as I can feel all of my 7 hearts stopping and restarting from the fear I feel. Michikatsu, I whisper as Tamayo looks at me in confusion. Who? She asks as I tremble and explain to her how Kokushibo was made. Her eyes widen in shock and she asks, So, Michikatsu is Yoriichi's older twin brother, who wanted to be turned into a demon. But since he was Yoriichi's twin, his soul couldn't be turned, so an entirely new soul was made, which was how Kokushibo was born. She finishes as I nod in confirmation and sense a presence I haven't felt in over 400 years appear by the cocoon. He's here. I whimper out as the cocoon is shredded to pieces as Michikatsu stands there in all his glory. Flashback. End. POV Michikatsu. Seeing the trembling Muzan and surprised Tamayo, I speak. I haven't even unleashed my hatred on you, and yet you are already trembling in fear? Pathetic, Muzan, pathetic, I say, as Muzan, instead of gritting his teeth, whimpers. Turning my attention to Tamayo, who is only ahead right now, I say, Regenerate! I will kill Muzan. Saying this, I turn my attention back towards Muzan, who is now in a ball shape and whimpering. I sneer in disgust and mutter out another pathetic before unleashing all of my hatred on him. He passed out and all of his hearts and brains are no longer functioning. I then turn Kyokoku Kamusari's blade red and proceed to dice Muzan into pieces. Muzan does not scream in defiance of his death, no. For Michikatsu's hatred was so strong that Muzan could do nothing except die, the end.